Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Greg. Welcome to the channel, greg.thunderwizard.com, if you're interested in getting a Thunder Astrology reading or a 9 World Rune reading. So I'm now offering those types of readings also. I'm on the Thunder Wizard's website also. So I just got certified as a rune reader. So I wanted to talk about the what exactly is the 9 World Rune reading and how it can help you. So the 9 World Rune reading, you basically I lay out 9 different cards, and they represent all of the 9 worlds that exist, and these are also the directions that we're always getting bombarded with within ourselves. Let me show you this. This is the wheel right here. It's called the Thunder Wheel, but it's a medicine wheel. You know, you can call it a medicine wheel as well. And this is the north. We got, well, I'm gotta go this way. The north, northeast, and the east, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest. So each of these different directions are represent energy that is influencing us within the center. So within the center is us. That's Midgard. That represents Middle Earth, us. It also represents a human being who's feeling all of these energies all the time. And there's 24 runes, and each of the runes get layered onto each of these directions in 3 sets. So this first layer, Fehu, and then you got Uruj, Durisaj, and so on. The first layer represents energy that's mostly vibrating on a physical level. And then we got the second tier, that is energy that's vibrating on a mental and psychological level. And the top tier is energy vibrating on the more spiritual level. So you got these different levels with each direction, and each of the directions have these different runes, and the runes vibrate within these directions. And you know, they just like the directions counter each other. There's different kinds of energy. Like we got the east over here, expanding energy. Then we got the west over here, which is contracting energy. Same goes with these energies of the runes. They counter each other. They help balance each other out. And it's just like with the planets too. They balance each other out within Vedic astrology as well. So when you get a rune reading, I draw 9 cards, and each of the cards represents a different direction. I'll lay them out on the table, put one in the center, one on the top, you know, and so on and so on. And so I basically start in the center. The center is the Midgard, represents Middle Earth. It represents your conscious experience of the focus of the reading, whatever that is, the question of the reading. And so this is how you are experiencing the energies of all of the other directions, all of the other cards within the reading. And so that's basically how you feel about it in your conscious self. And then we move over to the north direction. The north represents the water element. And this is energy that's barely starting to take form. I mean, it hasn't even taken form yet. It's just starting to be created. You know, it's like out in the universe, coming out of the Big Bang. It's barely got, it's got potential. You know, it hasn't really manifested into anything yet. So this energy from the north, the rune that you get in the north, represents energy that's coming to you. Energy that you maybe are barely starting to experience, or you are going to experience. So it represents the future, what's going to happen with in terms of the focus of the reading. And then we move over to the northeast, and the northeast represents, on the higher level, it represents energy that is starting to coalesce together. It represents conception, energy that's starting to birth. And you know, this represents the ether element too, the highest of ether. This direction is also representative of the celestial gods. So these are the gods that live in timeless infinity. You know, they're very high energy. They live in that static perfection. You know, they don't live in time and space. So they represent that pure, perfect kind of energy. And so this rune in this direction represents your aspirations, your hopes, and you know, how you feel towards those hopes. And it also represents your communication with the celestial gods. And moving over to the east represents the giant home. And the giant home is where energy starts to really take form and form its own identity. So this within the human being, this represents the ego. And so it's like birth. The energy it's taking form now. Now it has an identity. And the giants, they represent this expanding kind of energy. They represent energy that's just focused on themselves. They're not concerned about other energies within the world. In the myths, as the Thunder Wizard always says, the giants are like the Cyclops. It always represents an energy that's just stepping over houses and smashing people, and it doesn't have any empathy towards anybody. It's just totally focused on itself. It doesn't mean harm, but that's just the way that energy is. It represents the ether element as well, expanding energy. So this energy, this rune that in this direction represents how you give to yourself, how you are experiencing the focus of the reading on an egotistical level. So it's maybe you're not giving to yourself in a proper way, or you are. Whatever the case may be, when it shows up a negative rune, there are shamanic techniques that we use that will actually show the proper direction that you want to go. So you can avoid this negative energy. You can jump onto a different timeline and take a more positive course of action. Moving over to where are we at? I got the southeast. The southeast represents the dwarf home, and this represents your subconscious. And the dwarves are energies that reside in your lower self, in your navel. This area, the lower self, the lower chakra right there, and they represent the energy that's helping you to manifest the things in your life, the things that you want, the things that you need, and they need a healthy, powerful, nutritional life force energy to feed off of and go out and help manifest your life. So this represents eating good, not doing too much alcohol or drugs. That kind of stuff weakens your aura, and you're feeding your dwarves the wrong kind of stuff when you give it a lot of caffeine, a lot of sugar, that kind of stuff. They're getting artificial energy. So that has to do with the state of mind that you get into when you're doing too much caffeine and sugar. I've felt that before. You kind of feel like chaotic. Your nerves are jumpy and you get stressed out really easily. So that's what that energy represents. When they don't get the proper life force energy, they start to manifest chaos within your life. They can't go out and get the things that you want. Even if you have that stuff on your mind, it's not working because you're not giving them some good energy. So that represents this card, this rune in this direction represents how you are manifesting in the focus of this reading, in terms of the reading, or it's actually suggesting to you, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to manifest the energy in this the focus of the reading. Moving over to the south is the fire home, and the fire home represents this rising energy. This represents action. Fire is the element of action. When we're on our proper life path, the fire home is only going to burn up the excess energy in your life that you don't need. When we're not on our proper path, the energy of the fire home starts to burn up the energy that we need to live our lives correctly, to go out and manifest our lives correctly. So, it's another, just like the subconscious. It has to do with taking action. Physical movement, going out there and intending your reality as well. It's about this direction. Also is connected to your life path. It's connected to spiritual law too. In terms of the rune that's here, it represents the action that you're taking in this life, or the action that you need to take in this life. So based on looking at the whole entire runes, I'll be able to get an idea of, okay, this is the action you need to take, or this is the action that you're taking proper action. Moving over to the southwest, this is the hell home. So this is Mother Hela. This represents our unconscious. This represents our fears, our blockages, our self-sabotaging actions that we're not aware of. This represents the deep unconscious. It's a powerful direction to face as well. The rune here represents how you are focused on the focus of the reading on an unconscious level. So if we get a negative rune here, it's pretty much there's an unconscious weight that's that's dragging you, that you got to drag with you, that old ball and chain. It's dragging you. You got to drag it with you, and it's a weight. It's like a weight that's within the focus of the reading. So, but also when you get a negative rune here, there's alternate courses of action that it's also revealing that you can take to counter that energy. We want to get rid of that energy. We want to get you on the right path to manifest, your highest fulfillment, your greatest joy. So, yeah, when it's a positive rune, it just represents that on an unconscious level, everything's cool. You're doing the right thing. This question that you have is in alignment with your personal destiny, and so on. So moving over to the West represents the terrestrial gods. This is the home of Vanaheim. And the terrestrial gods are the earthly gods. They live in time and space. And, they've lived a long, long time within time and space. So they represent wisdom. They have, they have all this time to figure out the three-dimensional life. So they represent a lot of joy. And they represent giving to other people. And yeah, they're very giving, and they represent the joy of physical life, and they represent within us. They represent our empathic mind, and that's what the rune represents in the West. It represents your ability to give to others, or we can say how you are giving to the focus of the reading, whatever the question is that you have. And that is a contracting energy within the West. So moving over to the Northwest, this is the home of the elves, and the elves are ascended masters. These are spiritual energies that have existed within as humans, and they've already lived out their human lives, as many as they had to fulfill whatever they wanted to do in this life. And as a human being, they've lived as many lives. They learned all of the lessons of being a human that we all need to learn, and they've lived out enough lives to I want to be a skier, I want to be a musician, I want to be I want to own a business, I want to be the president. They've lived out enough lives to where they're like, I think I've reached the end of the human experience, so it's time to move on. So before they move on to their next stage of evolution, they look back onto the earth, and they help us with our whatever our problems are. When you face that direction, it's a very powerful direction. It represents within the human being our enlightenment, our higher consciousness. Like I was talking about the Northeast, that represents our super consciousness. It's really more higher, the celestial gods. The elves, though, the ascended masters represent just our higher consciousness. And so they bring us enlightenment. They give us advice in this direction. The rune in this direction represents what the elves are saying you need, or what they're saying what you have. So depending on the rune, if it's reversed or upright, it'll determine how what you need or what you have in terms of enlightenment, in terms of higher wisdom. So yeah, that's basically what you get. And the runes are very powerful. They do represent exactly what I've heard Mike the Thunder Wizard say, that they are independent sound vibrations that exist within the fabric of the universe. And what I've been doing within the last, I think it's been, 50 something days, something like that. I don't know. But I've been chanting the runes. And when I chant the runes, I open up the thunder wheel on my floor right here. I have stones that represent each of the directions, and I use the same stones for each direction. I've empowered them I empowered the North Stone with these 3 runes, with the planet that sits in the north, with the water that sits in the north, with the element, the sound of the water element that sits in the north. In each direction, I've done that. I've gotten each stone and I've traced out each rune and chanted the rune 3 times facing that direction. I've empowered all of my runes, my stones like that. So when I do the chanting of the runes, I open up the thunder wheel, and I sit in the center. And lately, I've been sitting in the direction of the south. The south represents transformation. It represents, it's the fire home, and it does represent transformation. It represents dying the shaman's death. It represents being reborn, tearing yourself apart, being torn apart by the gods, and being reassembled. I've been facing that direction just constantly. But I face that direction, and I'll start with the North Rune, the first level of the runes. That's the ones I've been chanting lately, is that first tier of the runes. And, when I start with that first rune, I basically direct my energy towards the north. Since I'm facing the south, the north is behind me. So I'll kind of just, intend my energy to feel that direction coming at me, and myself sending that energy there. And then I'll chant the rune Fehu 3 times. And then on the fourth time, I'll just inhale and bring in the power, feel the power of that rune, and also feel the sound vibration of that rune when I'm doing that. And you start to get an intuitive grasp about these runes. And really, the definitions that the Thunder Wizard has revealed in his books and on his YouTube channel, I feel like those are the true meanings. He's gone back to the root, the origins of the ancient Germanic language to really find out the meaning of these runes, compared to what other rune people do. They have different meanings for certain runes. And so when I do that, I really feel, aside from reading the books and understanding it on an intellectual level, you want to, if you're really interested in the runes, you want to really start to feel them and feel those intellectual meanings within the vibrational energy when you're doing meditation, when you're chanting the runes. So I do that, and I've been doing that for 50-something days or something like that. Always facing the south, but you could face any direction. And I just go around the whole wheel. I chant Fehu, and then I do Uruj, and then Turisaj, Ansuj, Raido. I go all the way around them. And, it takes 20, 30 minutes. And sometimes I'll sit there for a little more and, just soak them in, And then I'll touch my top, the higher self, Odin, then Vili, and then Ve. And, just soak in that energy. And it's really been helping me transform my life. It really helps me to control and become aware of my whole unconscious within me, and it brings out more too. It brings out more of it, and it helps me to deal with that stuff more and more. So that's all I wanted to talk about. If anybody's interested in getting the 9 World Rune Reading or a Thunder Astrology reading or both, just go to greg.thunderwizard.com, and y'all have a good day, good night, good afternoon. Peace.